Welcome to the podcast where I talk about what really shapes our health, not just our habits, but our mindset. I'm April, a health and weight loss coach who is on my own journey to lose weight, rebuild confidence, and most importantly, change the way I think about myself and my goals. Each week, I will talk about the real challenges of weight loss, the ups and the downs, and the powerful roles our thoughts and approach play in transforming our bodies and our lives. Whether you're just getting started, feeling stuck, or ready to level up your results, this is the space for real talk and a reminder that change always starts from within. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's get into it. So I am here discussing how my week went. That was the intention. So I will talk a little bit about that. But after my day today is Sunday, and I want to I want to definitely talk about willingness. And it is a theme. I'm going to discuss willingness, choices. Those are big things for me, and compassion. And today was a big exercise in willingness for myself. So typically on Sundays, I wake up and start to food prep. I try to get it done as early as possible so I can enjoy the day later. And I woke up and I just could not get out of my own way mentally. So I had an idea of how I wanted my weekend to go. And I'm guessing people can relate to this, but you have this idea, whether it's a weekend or an event or a dinner or a birthday or whatever, and you have this idea in your head of like how everything's going to unfold and how great it's going to be or how relaxing or whatever you envision. And the moment shows up and it's not quite what you expected. Not that it's bad, it just wasn't what you expected it to be. So this weekend, I had an idea of how I wanted it to go, and it did not necessarily line up with that. So nothing was wrong with the weekend. It was actually a good weekend. I got some things done. It was productive, but it wasn't what I had in mind. So this Sunday, today, I woke up and I was having all these thoughts about what I wanted to be, what I missed out on, and I was just having a little bit of a pity party in my brain. And I was very emotional about it. Now, I am hormonal, TMI, public announcement, but that's a real thing, right? Women have times that some things that might not bother you normally really impact you. So that's kind of what I think is probably going on, and that I haven't necessarily slept that well this week. It wasn't because I didn't necessarily go to bed on time. I've just been waking up from dreams and stuff like that. So that's fine. I did take a nap today, so that was nice. And it woke up to snow, which was very pretty, especially since we didn't have to go anywhere. But I essentially just kept procrastinating on food prep. And this is what I want to talk about: willingness and choices, right? So I kind of was in a funk, and Kevin was really great trying to, encourage me and look at bright sides. And I just wasn't on that page with him today. And a couple hours into it, or a few hours into it, actually, I finally was like in my head the whole morning. I was just having the conversation about what it was, what I wanted it to be, what it is now, what time is left. And I didn't feel like doing what I had to do. I didn't want to food prep. I didn't want to cook. I didn't want to clean. I didn't want to pack up the food. I didn't want to do all those things. So I was sitting on the porch and I was looking outside, and it was so pretty. And I was having this internal dialogue about what I didn't want to do. And that's all that I kept thinking about, was all the things I didn't want to do. And then another voice trickled in finally and said, "Okay, well, what do you want to do? Do you want the first half of the day went like this? And now you have a whole second half of the day left. You have the afternoon and the evening to make it what you want it to be. And are you going to choose to do that, or are you just going to let the whole day be this pity party?" And so I decided that no. And I then was debating in my head, okay, what's priority? How much time do we actually have? What's the exciting thing that's happening today? And we are going tonight to look at holiday lights in this park. It's a free park in Connecticut, and they do all these white lights and they have trees decorated, and there's a bridge that you walk across, and it's just beautiful. It's a great holiday event, and we look forward to it every year, and I'm very excited for it. But I couldn't see to that moment. I could only see the moment I was in. So it's really about asking yourself if you're willing to push past whatever thoughts you have and what are you willing to do now? And I started thinking about my week and working, and do I want to come home and have to worry about what I'm having for lunch and breakfast the next day at work? Absolutely not. So I thought, okay, I'm going to set a timer for an hour, and whatever I get done in the hour is what it's going to be. Now, thankfully, because I do have years of food prepping behind me, I can multitask really well. And we are very lucky and blessed. We do have multiple ways to cook things. So we have like rice cooker, we have Instant Pot, we have the stove, we have the air fryer, we have the oven. We have like a oven for the countertop. So there's a lot of ways to cook things at one time. And that's what I did. I maximized everything that I could, and I got all the vegetables that I wanted done for the week in about an hour. So there's roasted cabbage, mushrooms, peppers, onions, all the things. I made some rice. So I feel better. Do I still feel 100% emotionally? No. Is that okay? Yes. Because I set a plan of what was I able to do? What was I willing to do today? I was willing to take an hour out of my day and do the best I could and the most I could in that hour. And my week will be better for it. So willingness comes in the moments that you don't feel like you want to do something. And you ask yourself, am I willing to do it anyway? I might not necessarily feel excited to do it right now. I might not feel motivated. I might not feel like I have the energy or desire to do it. But am I willing to do it anyway? Or am I willing to do a version of it that I do have the capacity to do right now? And that's what I asked myself. What do I have the capacity to do right now? So I said, I can get up for an hour and see what I can accomplish in an hour. And I had a timer set for an hour, and I just stayed focused and did everything I could. And it worked out well. I feel like I got a lot accomplished. So I feel good about that. But these are the things to ask yourself in these moments. And when I look back at last week, when I read the letter and I talked about how I wanted to focus more this past week, I did. The things that I did well were I definitely got more water every day. I pretty much hit 80 ounces 5 out of the 7 days. So I still didn't hit it this weekend, but I did hit it through the week. And I moved a minimum of 10 minutes for 5 days. I ended up doing more than 10 minutes, and sometimes I even went out twice. Sometimes I got a walk in the morning and at lunch, sometimes just at lunch. There were 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. So there was a podcast that I talked about have a plan B. If you normally want to wake up in the morning and for some reason you don't, set another time that you can do it, no excuses. So my second time is my lunch break. On Monday and Tuesday, my lunch break came and I didn't feel like doing it for whatever reason, or I was too busy. I can't remember. But I decided, okay, then I have to do it when I go home. Like that's the third option and the very least desirable for me because it's winter, it's dark, and it's very cold. But I said I can do a walk for 10 minutes after work since I did not do it earlier today. So I did on Monday and Tuesday. And the temperature was 25 degrees with a feels like temperature of like 13 or 15. It was ridiculous. But I bundled up and I walked, and I ended up walking for, I think, 20 minutes. But I did absolutely get up on Wednesday and make sure to get a walk in the morning. And I think that's the day I got a walk at lunch as well. And I wrote a plan Monday through Friday. I did not write plans this weekend. So I feel good about the efforts that I made. The scale was down this week. So that's also good. But at the same time, we want to look at each week. We want to first look at what we did well, because any effort that you make is more effort than nothing. And so those are the things I feel good about. And then for next week, I want to look at what can I bump up? What else can I add? What else am I willing to try to do next week? So next week, I am willing to set a goal for myself to make a plan of how I want my day to look food wise for every day. That's my goal. And I want to get 80 ounces of water in every day. So that's my goal. So I'm looking forward, moving forward, looking ahead at the next week, making plans. I've now made the choice to food prep. So I have those vegetables set in my fridge, which is huge for me. That is such a game changer in my week and how the week goes, is having the veggies in the fridge already cooked. And then um when I did the walk after work, I started to think about people who um can't find time or seem to can't find time. And I know a lot of people who work from home struggle. And I can't imagine, especially if you have families and kids, you're in your environment, right? And they know you're there and they come to you. And so separating, it must be a very blurred thing. But I did think about, for those people, if you're willing to think about, can you add a commute back into your day? So if you're working from home and you're having a very hard time finding a time to move, let's set up your day, or let's think about setting up your day like you do have a commute. So even if it's 10 minutes in the morning and at night, before sitting down at your desk or going into your home office, take a walk outside, or if you have a treadmill, or do a video, or whatever it is that you like to do, but set a timer for 10 minutes. That's your new version of a commute. And do the same thing for your drive home, or your quote unquote drive home. Or you can start with one or the other. Whatever you're willing to do, whatever you think you can fit into your day. But that was something that really worked for me this past week. Was I set a bare minimum of what I was willing to do was 10 minutes a day. Again, I ended up doing more time most days, but telling myself it's 10 minutes, I can absolutely do 10 minutes, prompted my body to get into the motion of action. And that's what we want to try to think on these days and these moments, especially when we don't have any desire. Just ask yourself, what am I willing to fit into this day? What energy level can I meet myself at? Every day might look different, even if you've been doing it for a long time, and say you're at the capacity of going to the gym every day and working out for an hour or whatever it is that you're doing. Say you wake up and you're just not feeling rested, then ask yourself, what else can I do today that I can still keep the consistency of moving my body? Or if it's not exercise or movement that you want to focus on, if it's making your plan, writing down a game plan for your day. If you're struggling to find time, set a timer for 3 minutes, even 2 minutes. You can probably write a lot in 2 minutes, actually. So set a timer for 2 minutes and say, I'm going to write as much as I can for meals that I can of what I intend to do for my day. I have found it super helpful to set timers with the intention, and whatever I finish in that time is what it is. And maybe next time I'll get to finish more, or maybe next time I'll find more minutes in the day. um, but that's my message for this week. Just every day, ask yourself, what would make me feel good? And what am I willing to do to get moving towards that? What action step can I take? And would setting a timer help me to just say, okay, this is the time that I have, 5 minutes I'm going to devote to this, or 10 minutes, or 2 minutes, or whatever that might be, and see how you can incorporate that time into your day. Um, and the other thing I wanted to talk about for a little bit before I wrap up the podcast for this week is the changes that are coming. I try to talk about it every week. Laura and I have been working together. Laura is a friend who I've met through a program that I was in for a few years, and she's amazing. And we are now working on creating a new name. We will eventually have a website. We'll eventually have the Facebook page and Instagram. We will try to work on getting all of these things together in the new year. And one thing that we did settle on is the name is going to change to Wake Up Willing with April. That is because it's the truest message I have for myself to share with everybody. That thought and that question has really changed how I approach my journey and my life and my job and my day-to-day stuff and my even relationships. It's such a powerful question to me, and I have been using it for the past, I would say, 4 years now, 3 or 4 years. And it's the same thing, like cleaning a bathroom. Do you feel like doing it? Okay, what's the least amount I can get away with? What am I willing to do in this moment? Okay, I'm gonna at least wipe down the mirror and the sink or whatever. What am I willing to do in this moment because I want to be able to have a clean bathroom? Or what am I willing to do if I want to paint? Am I willing to set a 10 minutes to paint? It can be any goal that you have or anything within your day that you want to achieve for yourself, and ask yourself, what are you willing to do? What energy level do you have? Meet yourself at that and find the answer for yourself and feel good about that answer. And if tomorrow comes and you can build on that, then do that as well. So, Wake Up Willing with April is going to be the new name come the new year of the podcast, and we'll have the Facebook page, and within time the Instagram and the Facebook page I said, and a website. So I really appreciate everybody who listens and encourage you to like, send comments, subscribe, share, spread the word. My intent for this podcast and what I share is I am still learning, but I have found that the way we think and the way we talk to ourselves really transforms our journey and our weight loss journey and our lives. And it's been such a gift that I have found. And I really want to share it with others who don't necessarily know that that matters. We are in such a world and concepts of weight loss that it's always eat this, don't eat that, count these calories, macros, or cut out these foods, or whatever it might be, take pills, get a surgery. And so many things miss the component of what your thoughts do to your journey and to your progress. And I'm forever grateful of being introduced to this through the programs that I have found, and then the certification program that I went through for life and health coaching. And it's a practice. It's not something that just because you find it, you're like, poof, everything's good. It doesn't work that way, just like most things in life. But with practice, just like today, when I had no desire to cook and clean after the cooking and pack up the food after cooking it, because I've been practicing talking to myself through these moments, I was able to break through, and I was able to have this internal dialogue about, okay, well, what are we willing to do? What do you think you can get up and do to feel good about this day? Because if you don't do any of it, come Monday morning, I'm going to regret it. I'm going to wish I had done it, all of those things. So, and the way we speak to ourselves, compassion, all of those things we'll be really diving into and talking about how that plays a role. And it mostly from my journey and what I've experienced, because I'm still very much in the losing weight process. And maintenance, obviously, I'm not there. That day will come. But while we are losing weight, it's still the thoughts that we want to have when we're in maintenance. It's just a different world because now we've arrived with the goal that we wanted. But then there's other thoughts that come into play in maintenance. And I know this through friends who have achieved maintenance, that you worry that you might gain the weight back. You worry you still have some old programming if you didn't necessarily think about the things during the journey of losing weight. For people like myself who have a lot of weight to lose, many of us worry about loose skin or how my body's going to look after. Just there's so many things that our brain gives us to worry about that can derail the process and the positive motion of moving forward. So that's a little more sneak peek into next year. And I appreciate everybody's support and patience through the changes that will be coming. And I hope you all have a great week. And no matter what day you're listening to this, please take away the message of just ask yourself, what are you willing to do today for yourself to feel good? Okay. And I will see you next week for another conversation to keep you moving forward. And as always, remember to wake up willing to do something that feels good to you. Bye.